Welcome to the Arizona Construction and Renovations Employee and Staff Training Program. These tutorials are meant to enhance your knowledge of our internal processes and are not to be shared with others outside of the company.
All right, hello and welcome to the role overview and PSA training for accounts payable. Today we'll be going over the role, an overview of the responsibilities and direct interactions with PSA, the items you receive from other roles, as well as what other roles will expect from you. I'll also be covering the teams you collaborate with, how to measure your success within the company, and where to go for help should you need it. Let's get started. As an accounts payable admin, the purpose of your role is to process vendor invoices, manage payments, track expenses, and handle compliance documentation to control costs, protecting cash flow, maintaining strong vendor and sub relationships as well. The primary focus of your role is for invoice receipt and verification, purchase order matching, and payment processing via checks or ACH. Major players internally going to be project managers and operations for invoice approvals and job cost questions. You'll also be communicating with estimators for sub pricing verification. And externally, you'll be communicating with vendors and subs for payments and supplier for invoices and terms if appropriate. Next section is an overview of your role, which begins at ATP, allowing us to begin paying vendors and subs, and it ends at job closeout, the final vendor payments and job costs fully reconciled. Receipts from previous roles is going to be the project manager with approved purchase orders for subs and vendors. And deliverable to the next role is just going to be paid invoices applied to jobs. And those are not necessarily deliverable to a specific person, but the system requires them to be input by you. The key transition points for your role is going to be an issuance of a PO, the invoice receipt and matching, progress and final payments, and job cost finalization. Speaking specifically about PSA, proven jobs, and your input into that system, the daily and weekly tasks, entering and verifying vendor invoices, as well as matching POs and receipts, processing payments, as I mentioned, and managing vendor records, resolving any discrepancies, as well as AP aging reports. Most of that is going to be a weekly basis that you're checking up on that, but any invoices, payments that need to be processed will be daily. The primary screens that you'll be using in PSA, I'll pull them up now. Here in Proven Jobs, you'll be using the Info tab, which has information about the name, number, customer, contact information, address, claim number, and policy number, as well as the status of the job. And down here, the invoiced and amount due. Important information for us to have. You also have access to the Dates tab here. Any dates that can be affected by your role should have a orange minus sign next to it, meaning that you have the ability to create a date there or delete it. Next, we have the Notes tab here, which is going to be useful for reading back through notes, any kind of interactions, the estimator, a PM. If information can't be found elsewhere, maybe it's in the notes, some interaction there. And you can also post your notes as well to show progress on vendor payments and other interactions that you have with the jobs. Lastly, here, attachments. You'll be able to upload receipts and invoices here. Any information that has to do with the job, any documents can be uploaded here by you by clicking and dragging them into here and clicking upload. Also inside of QuickBooks Online, that is another series of screens that you'll be using, basically everything inside of there, but this video is not for that training. Key data that you're going to be interacting with is going to be invoice amounts, dates, and descriptions, as well as payment details, so amounts, dates, and methods, and vendor terms and tax info, as well as any dispute information. Those details would need to go into the system. The notifications you receive from PSA has to do with job status updates and notifications only. You will be notified when to pay percentage amounts, whether a specific amount is given in a note where you're the recipient of, or the workflow automatically determines that a job is done and we need to satisfy all payments to all vendors and subs. Those are the notifications you can expect from PSA. Moving next into the deliverables and the specifics for your role, the main outputs of your deliverables is going to be processed and approved vendor invoices, issued payments with checks, ACH, AP aging reports, and vendor payment confirmation and receipts. So the quality and completion standards for those deliverables is going to be error-free matching, very low percentage, to be determined percentage of matching any payments to the correct customer and project. Payments being made on time to avoid any late fees is something that's also going to be measured, and the accurate job cost tracking. Any payments that we have out need to be entered into the system appropriately, checked for verification before the job is fully closed to make sure that we have proper margin tracking. The deadlines for these deliverables is based on a couple factors, but invoice processing is within 2 days of receipt, and payments per vendor terms is based on whether they're net 14 or net 30. And you will know that based on your interaction with these vendors, as well as the list you'll be working off of, the vendor relationships. The deliverables are used by leadership and vendors. Leadership uses the deliverables for cash flow and expense reporting, and vendors need proof of payment, obviously. Moving into our fifth section has to do with collaboration, communication. So internally, I had mentioned you're communicating with PMs, operations, estimators, and AR. The PMs will need approvals for the invoices that they're using to eventually pay their subs, and job coding verification, making sure things are expensed to the proper job. Operations is looking for production phase expense questions. And estimators are using sub and vendor pricing, are used for sub and vendor pricing confirmation. You can discuss subcontractor bids specifically noted by estimators in an estimate and discuss that pricing with them. Accounts receivable, joint client and vendor issues can be discussed internally with them. For external communication, you're communicating with vendors and subs for invoicing questions and payment status, and our suppliers for terms and pricing disputes. The preferred methods and tools for communication internally is going to be proven jobs, the notes and attachments tabs that I had shown for noting any milestones on a job or anything worth adding into there, invoices, payments, things like that. Email is also used, Outlook, for formal invoice requests and reminders. Since our vendors do not exist inside of PSA, they don't have a customer portal that they can use. And lastly, communication method phone for urgent vendor follow-ups, and then WhatsApp for internal text communication. When and how to escalate. So any unresponsive vendors and subcontractors are going to be escalated immediately to leadership based on your AP aging reports. If there's any issue with payment, that needs to be escalated, and invoice disputes to the PM or the estimator. Solve your issues at the lowest level and then move up as necessary. Section 6 is the measure of success for your key performance indicators or KPIs. Your on-time payment percentage to vendors is going to be graded, as well as AP aging performance with a low percentage of overdue. The accuracy of job cost allocation is also going to be tracked, and reduction in duplicate and overpayments that are going to require man hours and waste overhead to solve. The expectation is 95% of our payments that are approved happen on time, and there is a clean job cost reconciliation. The effect that you have on the company is that a strong accounts payable department controls job costs and margins, prevents legal issues down the line, and maintains vendor reliability, as well as supporting a positive cash management environment and contributing to accurate profitability reporting. So we are working on making sure that the reporting for our profitability is more accurate and can be tracked inside of the system per estimator, per project manager. And that begins with project coordinators and estimators and ends with AR and AP. The last section is for help. So job aids, this document that I'm using as a guide was going to be distributed and posted on the notifications page when you first log into PSA. You can also use PSA Academy, which has a lot of information about the basic navigation within the system. And your subject matter experts are going to be Steve Olave and Thomas Eber, myself. If you need to find help, again, this document, but also the PSA library can be used. It's a very good resource for a lot of frequently asked questions that have already been answered by the team that manages the software that we use. And Proven Learning Series on YouTube is also managed by that same team and is a great resource for lunch and learns, long form um, training for specific use. So you can search them up and find individual training that you can use. The email address that's available for our use also to reach out for support is support@canmsys.com, though your interaction with that should be rare and possibly funneled through Steve or myself. Internal contacts for help include Steve, myself, and Brian Schuyler as well. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.